Hi, everyone. Welcome to Rise Up and Heal, the global healing space where survivors feel seen, understood, and empowered to rise stronger than before. This is a trigger warning that today's episode dives into the emotional aftermath of toxic relationships, where I am joined by special guest Laura Corrales, who is the founder of Salt Sisters. This conversation will be focusing on most aspects of narcissistic abuse. So if this conversation feels heavy for you, then please take care of yourself while you're listening. Pause if need be, because your worth was never lost. It was just buried under what you had to survive. Hi, I'm Annie, a Heal Your Life coach, helping people restore their relationship with themselves and rise stronger than before. Laura, thank you ever so much for joining the Rise Up and Heal community. I so appreciate you being on this podcast today, where we do get to discuss narcissistic abuse and the different things that are entailed in that. So welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Annie. I'm really looking forward to chatting today.
Thank you. Okay. So to get started, I know because you are a somatic healing coach, and with Salt Sisters, like one thing is, and we were talking about off air, is the red flags. Like when people are stepping into these relationships, because as you know yourself, like narcissists are very charming and you feel so connected. What are some of the red flags that people need to be aware of?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question beforehand, and the thing with red flags is a lot of them can come across as positive behavior,
Mm.
and we don't get taught to question positive behavior. Like, we never pick it apart and think there's anything wrong with someone treating us really well. So, like, for me, I think the biggest red flag is the consistency of the positive behavior. How long does that stick around for? When does that mask drop by anything in particular when you're up against testing your boundaries? So if you put a boundary in place, does their nice mask just suddenly slip? So I think with these relationships is they start off so intense and they feel amazing. Like, love bombing feels incredible. If anyone's experienced it, and I know you have, for me as well, Annie, it's such a high. Like, you think you're on top of the world, you've met your match, it's your soulmate. And the thing with that is it happens so fast, so intense, we don't have time to think. So a big red flag is the pace of the relationship. And if it's going too fast, you don't have time to slow down and really think about what's going on and really assess how you're feeling about the relationship, because you're always moving on to the next thing, the next plan that they have for you, or the future stuff that they plan. So that kind of leaves us with a couple of red flags: the fast pace, to question positive behavior and not just take it as it is, and just check that it stays around and it's consistent and they're kind, they're respectful to you. Another red flag is paying attention to whether they respect your boundaries, which I sort of touched on as well, because a lot of narcissists want you to do everything their way. And when you start to assert your independence and don't want to do things exactly the way they want to, that can also cause a bit of grievance. So I'd say those are like the main things to watch for, because there's so many.
Yeah, there are so many. And I think the other thing is too, is that you try, like, because like you said, the relationship becomes so intense and you really do feel like you found your person, that once it starts to, I guess it starts to change. Like, you definitely notice a shift. You sort of find yourself like you're a moth to the flame, that you're trying to get it back to how you originally felt. Like, do you feel that that is true for you?
100%. That sets the benchmark for the whole relationship. It's like this is how good it can be for you. But you don't know what strings are attached at the time. It's like, this is how good it will get if you do this, if you don't step out of line, if you always put my needs ahead of yours. There's like all these conditions that you don't know that you're agreeing to benefit from that amazing, lovely treatment.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh, I just completely forgot what the question was again. Where I was going with it. That's
It's
why I like
all good.
ADHD
No,
me.
because we all, you know what? Because it's a big topic. There's so many layers. Like there's layer
Oh my God.
upon layer, and I even know for myself, there's stories within the story. So it's, you know what? It's complete. It's completely fine. And I think the other thing, like is, and this is something that I really had to learn, like I've had to learn a few things, but this was definitely one of them, was really noticing how the behaviors and actions do not match the words.
100% agree with you. That one is, yeah, that's it. Because there's always so much of like saying what they're going to do, and you get lost in that. You're not actually like keeping track and writing down that they've promised this. You're
Yeah.
just like looking forward to the next thing. You're not really in the present moment with them at all.
Yeah.
So they're promising you all these things, but you're not watching for them to not follow through. You just kind of believe the hope's coming. And that's such a tricky one to spot, because that's also part of the patterns. And I was saying this to my partner the other day, that I was like, if I'm ever single again, the one thing I'm going to make myself do is start a journal for anyone that I date and write down every single detail,
Yeah.
what I think of them, how I feel about them, how they've treated me, and actually start the data tracking. I know that sounds insane, but
No.
it's just, there's so many predators out there, and you don't realize it until you experience it, because your rose tinted glasses come off after you've been through that treatment. You're like, wow, I've been betrayed so badly. Like, who else is living like a completely different world that I don't understand? And it just crushes your reality of what you know people to be like.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing is too, like your self-trust becomes so undermined, that you don't even trust yourself because it has been eroded, you know, over time. And the other thing that I've also noticed is that I know for me and also with clients that I've worked with, there's that we tend to discard or suppress our own intuition and our own body signals. And I think that's also, I know, a big thing for me that I've had to learn that too, is just really tuning in on my thoughts that are coming through. But the other big thing is just noticing how my body responds.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because you're like internal, like your gut instincts get skewed after this trauma.
Yeah.
And it's not really giving you an accurate reading anymore, because you can be out of that relationship and completely safe at home and alone, and still be feeling the effects, feeling hypervigilant, worried something bad's going to happen. Your body's all tense, your shoulders are all like curled in, like you're literally telling your brain that you're still in danger, because you're so used to living in these patterns of trying to walk on eggshells, trying to keep the peace, avoid setting them off again, because you don't ever know what makes it suddenly change and where they withdraw.
Yeah.
So paying attention to what your like body's telling you, what a yes and what a no is so important, because we need to learn what's an old pattern and what is accurate for now. And that's what gets skewed after the abuse.
Absolutely, because it completely rewires you. Like your nervous system is shot to pieces. And so it
Correct.
really is about rewiring your nervous system and the whole process. And I guess, and this is again where the self-trust comes into, is then trying to believe that you are safe and that it is okay to feel safe because you have been hypervigilant. You have been living where you have been walking on eggshells, and the level of confusion that the relationships with a narcissist puts you through is like, I don't even have words for that. So it's
Well,
huge.
no, I know. You're a shell of yourself after that
Yes.
experience. Like, you really have to go right back to the beginning and understand who you are. And it's in the mundane and the menial things that we dismiss where we start rebuilding our self-trust. It's following through on the things that you say you're going to do. So saying to yourself, I want to go to the gym today after work, packing your bag, and when you finish work and you can't be bothered, still being like, yeah, but I promised myself that I would go and I would train.
Yeah.
Because you turning up at the gym is telling your brain that I follow through on the promises that I make to myself. So you're planting the seeds to start trusting yourself more.
Yeah.
And it starts with these little things that we always dismiss and don't really realize that they're part of like a bigger plan of why we need to do them. Because when you are feeling really anxious, that feels so much louder than anything else that we fixate on that rather than, well, what could I do right now that reminds my body to reorient into the space and realize that I am actually safe. There's nothing in harm's way. We just get stuck in the anxiety. We want to push it away. We want to get rid of it when really we need to just acknowledge what's actually going on in the body, try and get out of our heads a bit more because it's all intertwined.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it really is such a journey. And especially, like you said, when you're trying to, I guess, keep tabs in the sense of because they are very good at moving the goalposts. So it does make it extremely hard. With your experience, like what was it for you that made you realize that you were in a relationship with a person that is displaying narcissistic behavior and tendencies?
So, like most survivors, I didn't know about the abuse until after I'd been out of it. And that was because the breakup is not a normal breakup. You're feeling the effects so much worse than any breakup you've ever had because you don't realize you're dealing with a breakup and dealing with the effects of the abuse and trying to get over that.
100%.
So it wasn't until like months later where I was like, gosh, this isn't normal. Like, why am I still feeling so bad? And then I found out that my ex had been cheating on me as well. So I had like everything just got dragged out even longer. So it was like I'd make maybe a few steps forward and then I'd find out he'd been unfaithful. Then I'd find out about someone else that he'd slept with. And then it was just like, oh my gosh, there's more and more. And then it wasn't until I'd been speaking to a friend and she dropped the word narcissist into like the conversation, I started going down that Google rabbit hole of trying to understand it all. But again, I hadn't clicked that it was abuse. I still didn't realize that. And we were talking about this off air before, how like it's like your mind isn't ready to process that yet. And it wasn't until I was in therapy with someone really safe that they were able to actually like be like, you've got PTSD and you're dealing with the effects of narcissistic abuse. So that was like, I think about 6 to 8 months later where I found out after the breakup that it had been abusive.
Yeah. And it really is such a shock. And I even know for myself that it's like I was trying to, because after the breakup, it's like you were dealing with a completely different person. Like the level of coldness and the discard, and then all of a sudden, I guess the truth starts coming out, like you said, with the cheating and the lies and the betrayal, and all of a sudden, like you're there going, was my whole relationship based on a lie? Like what was real? What was real in any of that?
Yeah.
And I struggled for myself trying to ascertain that this was still the one and the same person, because it was like, I see the pre-person, I know what the pre-person's like, but this after person, I'm like, where's this person here gone? Who is this? Like, it's
It's
so
so much to get
confusing.
your head around. And it's
Yeah.
like, I heard someone talking about this on a podcast about the truth bias, that because you believe and you tell the truth and you're honest with everyone else, you assume everyone else does. So
Yes.
when you're when you meet someone like that, they deconstruct your whole belief system. Like everything you thought about the world is just broken. And like you said, you don't know what was real, what was fake, because you then learned all the good stuff was just part of the cycle to keep you there anyway.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, did they consciously do all of that? Were they consciously hurting me? Like you have so many questions about it. It's just the most confusing time.
It's so confusing. What would you say was probably one of the best things that you did for yourself stepping away from that relationship?
Oh, that is a big question. One of the best things. Well, the best thing was realizing I didn't have to like tolerate that anymore and taking control and blocking him, because I think we always like the whole no contact thing is such a difficult thing to reach that decision. But I felt for me, once I did make that decision, I felt so powerful afterwards. I was like, oh, wow, I can stop this. I can stop him from contacting me.
Yeah.
And I started viewing it like that. And then every little block was like a little bit more power being restored to me, and not letting him be able to reach me. I was like, I can decide who I let into my circle. I don't have to have him part of my life. So I think the best thing that I did from that was blocking him for good and never looking back once I'd made that decision. And it was just like the most liberating thing, because then it just, once you've had enough distance, you see like how much stress that relationship was causing you. Like
Yeah.
it is so exhausting being
Yeah.
in that cycle.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And, you know, I think I know for me, when I did the blocking, I really struggled coming to that decision because I'd been with this person for almost 3 decades. So it's a very
Yeah,
long time.
it's not an
Um,
easy decision.
it's not easy. And when I did do it, yes, there was a part of me that did feel empowered, but I also experienced a lot of guilt. I felt so guilty that I was doing this to this person.
Mm.
And it's interesting because I also had to have conversations with myself and go, hang on a second, Annie. Here you are, you're feeling guilty because you're the one who's gone no contact with this person. But did this person really care about you when they were lying to your face? Did they care about you when they were cheating on you? Did they care about you when they were, manipulating and gaslighting you and doing all of this? So by having even conversations with myself on that, I even found that to really help me. But I know I did really struggle
Mm.
with doing that and making
Yeah,
a decision.
it does take a lot of thought process, and like it took me a while to finally reach that decision, because also you've got this so much doubt. You're like, did I
Yeah.
actually give him enough of a chance?
Yeah.
um, could I have fixed it? Did I try my best? What if I've made a huge mistake? What if they suddenly turn around and become the person that I always wanted them to be? Like, I'm never going to find that out, because no contact is so final that you don't allow them
Yeah.
that opportunity to change and come back into your life.
Yeah.
You're basically making peace that you don't believe that's a possibility, and you're accepting that's the answer, because you have enough proof, like you were saying, that he's let you down so many times, he's hurt you so much.
Yeah.
Where's that compassion for yourself,
Yeah.
that what you've been through and what you've done to yourself? So it's like you don't realize how much compassion you've lost for yourself in this situation either, and that's like a big part of the healing. There's just so many angles.
Absolutely. And I think, this is where I look back now at my journey now, as much as it's awful and painful and extremely hurtful, and I do not wish anybody to go through what I've been through. But in saying that, I honestly think that he has been my absolute greatest teacher, because without having gone through and experienced what I have experienced, I mean, you and I would not be sitting here having this amazing conversation. And B, I would not have learnt to become my own best friend. And I would not have learnt that it's okay for me to have compassion for myself. It's okay for me to trust myself again, and that it is possible.
Yeah, it's so true. Like he became my biggest teacher as well. And like it's so weird to tell people when they're right at the beginning that this is actually the best thing that's ever going to happen to you
Absolutely.
when you break up, because when you're in it, it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
But it gave me my purpose. It gave me my passion, because it led me to what I'm doing today, because I want women to feel better for themselves. I want them to want more for themselves and to trust themselves. And like, you do meet the most incredible women after going through this experience. Like, survivors are the strongest people I know. They're so resilient. I admire every person I work with or meet. Just, yeah. And like you said, you wouldn't have had this opportunity if we hadn't have been through what we have. So like, you become grateful for it. It's so weird.
Absolutely. And like you said, like your journey has led you to now doing what you're doing. Like you get to, like you said, you're working with these incredible women. You've gone on, because the somatic healing process, that was part of this journey for you, wasn't it? The healing process, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the missing piece, because like everyone, when you discover this, you intellectualize everything you've been through. You're on Google until the early hours of the morning. You're reading every book all the survivors recommend. You're binging podcasts you find on the topic, and you're in your head the whole time. Even in the therapy that I had, she was great. She was a talk therapist though, and we didn't do anything somatic. And even though I kept going to therapy, I was still dealing with all these like physical effects and like crying, just worrying about my future. I just felt like I was scared to live. And that still wasn't normal. And it was nothing like who I'd been before that relationship. So, and even like my breathing, I met this amazing breath coach who had said to me one day in a jiu-jitsu class, she was like, do you know you're not breathing very efficiently? I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, you're breathing in a state that's literally triggering your stress response, like the whole time.
Wow.
Obviously we've been doing exercise, but this was post and everything, and she just picked up on it because that's her job.
Yeah.
And then that's what led me to just discover like, oh my God, my body, my nervous system, I've done nothing with my nervous system. It was just this light bulb moment. And once I started doing that work, everything just changed for my healing. I was just like, this is like the best kept secret that nobody knows about. And it helped me with my healing so much that I was like, I need to learn this so I can then teach other people that this is what they need to do. And it just led me onto that path of becoming a somatic coach.
Yeah, that is so cool. And I love that you are doing that. Like, and the good thing is like you've done it yourself, so you know exactly what it's like and just the benefits that it has given you. I've also with my therapist, psychologist, was doing EMDR. And I have found that to be absolutely incredible in helping me, and especially with people pleasing, because I was such a people pleaser. And I know in relationships, especially as women, because we're so caring and empathic, that we don't want to rock the boat and we want to keep everybody happy. But it's amazing when you start to also peel back those layers on yourself and go, oh my gosh, people pleasing that. I've absolutely sabotaged the hell out of myself by being a people pleaser. So,
Yeah,
because it's
that's
amazing.
another thing. Because you
Yeah,
don't realize people pleasing is actually you trying to control how people think about you.
yeah,
And it's really what it is. And
yeah.
then it's actually like quite a controlling thing to do. But obviously it's not viewed like that. And you're not doing it intentionally like that. But that's what you're trying to push away. It's like, I want people to think good of me. So if I do this and I'm really helpful, they're going to see me in this new
Yeah.
light.
Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah, it untaps all these little, it makes you evaluate your whole personality again and rebuild
absolutely.
every little piece that makes you who you are. Like doing values work, that was something that
Yes.
unlocked so much for me. It's like, what do I need to be aligned with in my life again? Like,
Yeah.
you really have to just go back down to the bare bones. Like, what's your favorite color? What's your
Yes.
favorite pizza topping? It's
Yes.
just everything needs to be baby steps. And the problem is we try to bite off more than we can chew. Like, we try and do everything, try every modality, when we just need to try one thing and stick with it, see how that impacts us, and then add in pieces, because healing is a multifaceted approach. It's not one thing that's going to help you.
Yeah.
It's finding several things that are going to help you. And another thing that's just so underestimated, but everyone mentions it because it works, it's getting good nutrition, getting good sleep, getting good exercise, get your basics right. That's like the hardest thing to do when you've been putting someone else's needs ahead of your own for a whole relationship, to then start thinking about, what do I need? What do I want to eat? Have I even eaten today? Just
Yeah.
all these little things. You need to start working on that and just go back to the very beginning and figure it all out slowly. Because if you're already in an overwhelmed state, you're just going to stay in a free state because it's just going to be too hard. So baby steps, and take it as small as you can.
Yeah, exactly. And it is really just taking those baby steps and I think the other thing is is just giving yourself permission to take these baby steps and truly realizing whether, what works for you may not work for somebody else, but it doesn't matter. It's about what is working for you, where you can feel good within yourself. And that's what it comes back to. And it's about becoming your own best friend. And I think probably one of the hardest questions that I ever really had to face for myself was, well, what do I want? Because when
Mm,
you've been so wrapped up in that relationship, and especially with the people pleasing and keeping that other person happy and other people happy, then all of a sudden it's like, well, what do I want? I've got no idea. What do you want me to want?
yeah,
Like what? Because I'm so used to somebody basically, because
yeah,
I was so good at going, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd be asked and go, well, what do you want, Annie? And I'd be like, oh, well, I don't know. Maybe do you want to go to the beach? Because you'd ask those questions knowing that that was their sort of favorite thing. And meanwhile, it could be really, something else could be like, I'm just happy to curl up on the couch and read a book. But you tend to be like, oh, so, but well,
mm,
do you want to go to the beach? Like, would you like to do that? And, it's
true.
like,
Like your decision
yeah,
making, like just going to a coffee shop and ordering a coffee is like, I don't know what I want. You need to think about, you overthink every little decision. You don't even know what to like wear because you're always asking someone else's opinion. Does this look all right? Like you just can't decide for yourself. And you're, like
no,
you said, in a way, trying to answer for them and interpret what they want so that nothing bad happens and we can have a nice evening out and
yeah,
pick a nice restaurant, as long as like we do what he wants. And it's like, even when they order a drink and they're like, what do you want? You're just like, I'll just have what you're having.
yeah,
And you get so used to doing that, you don't really know what you like having anymore. It's
yeah.
like a really hard part of figuring yourself out afterwards.
Yeah, because you are mirroring them, really. I mean, as much as
Mm.
they mirror you and they bring you in, you are mirroring them. And I honestly, and I look back at stuff and some things that I've done that I'm not proud of, and I go, oh my God, like
It's bad, isn't it?
I would not ever do that. Like if I
Yeah.
look at myself pre to being in that, and I'm like, who the hell was I? What the hell was I thinking? Like where, like
You just want to
not
shake
cool.
yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because we were saying it before, like I feel so different to that person who was in that relationship.
Yes,
Like just a complete different change. And I like to
absolutely.
think now, if I was ever to meet someone like that again, I would just move on immediately and be like, nah, not happening. I can see
Yeah.
it from a mile away. But
Yeah.
the stuff that you put up with in that relationship And you just cringe at it now. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, what were you doing, hon? Like, what were you thinking? Why did you tolerate that?
Yeah.
And it's sad though. I'm like, how was I that pathetic?
Yeah, yeah. And even when it was told like by the therapist and that, like, well, Annie, you were doing this for survival mode. And I'm like, what? No, I made that choice. I did the wrong thing. It was me. I made that choice. I know that I did the wrong thing. And they're like, yeah, but look at the space that you were operating from, Annie. Like, did you feel happy? Did you feel scared? Did you feel this? And I was like, oh no, I was freaking out. Like I
Yeah,
was, and so it's really interesting that you look back now and you go, wow, I
yeah. Because
was, yeah,
you're
it's
always trying to save the relationship,
yeah,
not yourself.
yeah,
Like, because you don't know you need saving. Like, we don't know we're in abuse, like,
no,
at all. You have no idea.
yeah,
And you're not even Googling it because you don't know what to Google because
no,
they're not bad all the time. It's
yeah,
just like yeah, the whole thing, and if you haven't experienced it, you have absolutely no idea like how much
no.
of a confusing, disorienting time it is.
Absolutely. And I know initially when it was pointed out to me, like the psychologist gone, you do realize, you've been in a suppressed relationship for almost 3 decades and, especially the emotional and
What?
psychological abuse and there's financial abuse and there's all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, what? No. No, I think you've got it wrong. I mean, meanwhile, this person's fully qualified and they've got years, and I mean years upon years of experience. And I'm sitting there going, no, 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 it's me. I'm the problem. Like, no, no, no. Like, just, yeah, it's
It
crazy.
doesn't matter how many other
No,
people will like highlight it to you, being like, "Oh, I don't think you're being treated very well," or "It's not very normal for you to be crying this much in a relationship," or like, "He has ignored you for over 2 days now," and you're still just like, "Yeah, but like, give him a break. He's been like doing all this. Like, give yourself a break. Like, it's just like you want to be like, just wake up, see it. It's so bad." And but I just think it's one of those awful things that you just have to go through in your own time, in your own journey, learn the lesson as many times as you need to, because until you have, nobody is going to make a difference to trying to get you out of that. You just can't see it. Like, you don't know that what you're doing to survive that relationship is just like numbing out to it, like
yeah,
just separating yourself from it. It's
absolutely.
normal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because
You don't question.
no, you don't. You don't question, and you do really lose yourself. And I think
Yeah.
that is the thing. Like you become so buried under what you had to survive that you
Mm.
just, yeah, you don't know what's up, you don't know what's down, you don't know what's left, you don't know what's right. Like it's just a very confusing time. And unfortunately, as much as you can have great support around you, if people have not truly experienced this, then they don't fully understand what it's like to go through. Because, like you said, you can't even describe it. Like, unless somebody puts a name to it or somebody outlines it to you, um, you honestly, yeah, it makes
And
it
that's
very
just,
hard.
yeah, and it's just remind me of like another problem is like the people that are advising you are talking and giving you advice from the lens of a healthy dynamic,
Yeah,
not an abusive dynamic. So they don't realize they're actually giving you really terrible advice to go back and work it out, to try everything to make it work. They don't realize they're talking you into trying to make it work with an abuser. So that's like the other thing is like you're getting really bad advice from the outside because, well, you're not also telling them a whole truth of what's going on because you can't verbalize it. But they're also lacking in experience to know the signs and the red flags to be like, actually, you're in a really bad situation. And like nobody had ever said that to me that he was a narcissist. Not one person had said that. So like you just don't have the language.
no, you don't. And I mean, for me though, I did have people telling me I deserved better at different points, but I just thought, oh, they're just saying that because, they're just being nice to me. Like I didn't think any different because I was like, no, like the sun rises and sets with this person. And I even had, especially like his sibling turn around and say on a couple of different occasions, that they believed that he was cheating on me. And I'm like, no, not really. And I did not want to believe it. And then again, even when you do question it and you start asking those questions, being told you're ridiculous, there's an explanation that you go, oh, okay, well, yeah, all right, I can understand that. Yep, okay, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, the person who's telling you this information, they're jealous, they're not a nice person, like, look at this, and this. So then you're like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, no, I agree with you. Okay. And so I know for me, I just dismissed it. And I dismissed that information a number, an absolute number of times because I truly believed that this person was like me, very loyal and would not do that, would not overstep that boundary, overstep that mark. But I was completely wrong.
But then again, it comes back to like their manipulation is just so overpowering because
100%.
your self-trust is so small in comparison. And it's just easier to override that every time than to deal with the aftermath of disagreeing with them or doing something that they don't want you to do. Like it's easier to just shut up and get on with it. Like I know that sounds
Absolutely.
really bad to say, but that just becomes like the path of least resistance when you're in the relationship.
Oh, absolutely. Because you don't want to rock the boat because you already know what you're going to have to deal with. So you just
Yeah.
don't, you just shut down. Very
Yeah.
much so. You really do shut down. Now, I have absolutely loved speaking with you, and I
Mm.
know that we could just keep chatting for hours, but I do want to ask you, how can people find you who are listening to this podcast? How can they find you? How can they book in for a session with you? Can you give us those details, please?
Yeah, so my website is saltsisters.com, but it's a double L. There's a whole story to that because originally I started the website with my friend who was also called Laura. Um, and salt is like very healing. So we just kind of had this like whole thing around the name. But that's the best place to get me for like booking a consultation call. I've also got like free resources, like a red flags checklist, boundary blueprint, a journal prompt guide as well, and a no contact guide. And I've also just recently started a YouTube channel if you want more of like a deeper dive into what I do and answers to like common questions that you might have after a breakup with a narcissist, things like that.
That is fantastic. And I will put your information in with the description when the podcast is up and ready to go so people can easily click on those links and find you. Laura,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Honestly, like I said, I could just continue
Yeah,
just
I
chatting
know.
to you for hours.
It's so
And
nice. I'm
it
so grateful that I've met you.
Yeah, I am too. And to be honest, everybody, like Laura and I connected, over a week ago. And honestly, just for a pre-chat, and I think we were chatting for a good few hours,
It
weren't
was
we?
about 3 hours.
At
I
three
came off
hours.
and my partner was like, "Have you made a new best friend?" And I was like, "I think so."
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow. It was so cool. But you know what? This is the thing. This is one of the beautiful things of when you're stepping out of what we've stepped out of, that you do get to connect with
Mm.
people who truly get it, who truly understand it, who are truly supportive and all of that, because they know exactly what it's like to
Yeah.
experience it. So
And you can even laugh about it a few years on,
absolutely.
like we do. Like we can
Yeah.
see the funny side of it now. And that's when you really know you've healed, is when you can laugh about the most traumatic time in your life.
Absolutely, exactly. You can go, oh my God, what was I thinking? But anyway,
Yeah.
but it's led us to here. So again, thank you so much to everybody who is listening. Thank you so, so much for listening to this episode with Laura and I. I really hope that what we have spoken about today has helped you, has resonated. Like I said, I will put Laura's details in with the description so you can click on those links that you can find Laura, and she has got these amazing free resources that you can instantly access. So again, thank you so much, everybody. Please take care of you. And Laura, once again, thank you ever so much.
Thank you for having me, Annie. It was great talking to you again.
Thank you.